Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, as I'm trying to get this rawhide to our dog, she just dropped it off the freaking thing again.
I mean, that's part of having an animal on set with us here. They're unpredictable.
Yeah, that's why we do it live, too. So, F it. We're doing it live.
F it.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. Who said that?
You had to put me on the spot. The Fox News guy, Bill O'Reilly.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Okay.
Oh, man, I can't believe I just did that. I'm 45 years old. I can't think of anything in a timely amount of time outside of like my work. So if it's not like work and I can like, bring up different subjects, like, and you guys hear it all the time. I'm always stuttering on here and Allison always has to save me. So you can make fun of me all you want. That's fine.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I am slowly fading into dementia myself because especially at the end of a long day, I mean, there are times like I really have a hard time talking. Well, I can't find words.
You do add like weird things at the end of some words, like TED a lot to a lot of things that like it has no place. Like you're like bread did. I had a sandwich on some good pumpernickel breaded.
What in the hell are you talking about? That is a straight up lie.
I try not to.
Breaded?
It's not that you didn't actually say that, but it's a word like similar to that where it's like it has no place. So it's just like you have T's
no
or
place.
D's. I don't. I don't. That's for sure. So if you like us, again, I usually say it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because our minds are slowly going.
Yeah.
So,
we're getting old, people. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. Real quick, if you are listening to us on an Apple device, you can get a free trial as a subscriber. Go ahead. You get like 3 days free and you can download up to like 100 different bonus episodes out there. So go give it a shot. I mean, if you're crazy enough to do it, yeah, you deserve it. Or just go ahead and head over to Patreon and become a patron.
Well, the way that I see it too is this episode is going to air close to the new year. So, as a new fresh year is coming upon us, oftentimes people are cleaning their homes, maybe decluttering a closet or some drawers, whatever.
Want to get back in shape and go to the gym?
Whatever it is. I know I usually go on cleaning binges because our son's baseball is normally on a bit of a hiatus in January, so I have a little extra time.
Spring cleaning?
It's the perfect time to pop your earbuds in and listen to some bonus content.
Yeah, so go ahead. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. I'm talking to you right now. This is the time. You deserve it. So go ahead and treat yourself. But I wanted to say something. My favorite Christmas gift. I wanted to mention it. I may have mentioned it already, but I bought it for myself, and it is the robot vacuum. For the longest time, I didn't want one because they were $400. I thought there's no way it's worth that because they just bump into walls and then they go the other way and whatever.
And we had a very bad experience with one. Your mom gave us a hand-me-down, and literally the first time we ran it, it went off into our bedroom to do its own thing. Now, this was a long time ago. Our son is 16. He was a baby. So a solid 15 years ago.
Yeah, that was the Roomba. It was like an older Roomba, and she got the newer one. It was a hand-me-down. We're like, all right, and it barely had any battery. It sucked. It was terrible.
Well, it wasn't that. It was our Chihuahua had an accident. She pooped in our bedroom, and the Roomba went in there and rolled over the poop. And by the time we caught it, I didn't even know what to do.
Streaks all over every carpet, and just the thing was, we weren't going to fix it at all.
So I was traumatized from it.
So I got a new one, and I saw that the technology has improved so much. Like, it goes back to the home base, it charges itself, it'll do like lines up and down, so it like gets every single piece. Like, it's not just going to bump into a wall and go a random direction. So I got one, found one for like $125, which is not too bad at all. And it's been amazing. I've loved it. It's I don't even know the brand name, but
it's like Roborock.
Oh, Roborock, yeah.
And our house, it's all like the laminate flooring, and we have 3 pets. Our orange cat sheds like the Dickens, and I'm just somebody that I like it when our space is clean. So every day after work, I'd be grabbing our cordless Dyson and going around, and it was just another thing on my to-do list. So I was a little skeptical when Mike suggested it.
And I wanted to help save some time for you because, every single day you want to make sure, and especially if the sun's in, you can kind of see the pet hair on the ground.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, whatever. We'll see how this goes. And it's been working out fantastic.
Yeah, I was a little apprehensive too because if it didn't work out, I'll be like, just another thing.
Oh, yeah, that's how I am.
You guys know
for
how she is.
sure. Yeah, I'd be like, just another thing.
Yeah, you screwed up again, you idiot. basically what
That's
she
how
says.
I like to just berate Mike and just tear him down.
Yeah, and
that's
she does
really
a
my
great
goal.
job. She's like, you moron.
Yeah,
she has like a New York
Am I
accent.
smoking too?
She's like, would you get out of here, you moron? And but no, it's been really good. So that's a good thing. That's my favorite Christmas gift I bought for myself.
It's such a little helper. I look at him buzzing around and I'm like, I just love you.
And so I mentioned that and I was so happy about it. And then another thing I love in our house, which is so weird, is I have a shipping center upstairs in our loft. Like we have one room upstairs. And last year I was shipping a bunch of stuff for Amazon. I was trying to make a couple extra bucks because I was in a job that they didn't have anything for me to do for about 3 months. So
they were reconfiguring your position.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to sell stuff on Amazon, which I did for 3 months. And it was kind of fun. But didn't make a ton of money on it, but I still have a shipping center. So I got like boxes and tape and like I have a label printer over here. And I don't know why, but it's just, I've always wanted, like when you get something you need to ship and you're like, okay, now I got to go to the post office or UPS store. And
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
very excited when you have to ship something.
I am. It's so weird. It is the weirdest thing, but I just love printing a label and slapping it on and I pay for the postage through the computer and it's like, everything's done.
It's a lot easier. You just pop in our mailbox.
Like our niece, we got a gift for her and it wasn't ready yet for Christmas. So because it got lost in Alaska, don't ask, long story. But luckily it was like, hey, we can ship it. And I put it in the mailbox and it's all set to go for when the mail person comes around.
Whatever makes you happy, Mike.
And it
Because if
did.
you're happy, then I'm happy.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen very often.
No.
One last thing. I can tell you're about to ready to go to get in the story. We like to kind of just have a little coffee talk before the episode. Just
A little coffee, a little swap.
Yeah, just to like ease into things. So it's not, it's kind of.
And then you kind of get to know us a little bit if you're new to this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't give a hoot about what we have to say, but you can skip the banter.
Which they already did at this point. So one last thing. I have a confession to you. You don't even know about this.
Oh, gosh. What?
You're going to be jealous.
What?
I bought myself a new iPhone.
You're a son of a bee. We both got our iPhone 11s when we first transitioned from Samsung to iPhones. I don't know how many years ago. I'm going to say that was a solid 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I think it's a bunch of crap.
So the reason being, they're insanely expensive, but my company pays for it. So I'm like, yeah, I can buy one because my company pays for it. So like, if my monthly charge for my phone is under $100, they'll pay for everything. So
you're just going to leave me in the woods with this phone that by noon is already dead.
Yeah. Well,
we'll just get you a battery. I don't want a battery. I want a new phone.
why?
I don't know. I just do.
She's so jealous. It's like
I'm
the
not
weirdest thing.
jealous.
She gets jealous about these little weird things.
Really? Name another thing.
I don't know. I can't think of it right now.
Because I don't.
She does. It's odd. She's
You're
very
odd. Your face is odd.
Yeah, I'll show you.
So on that note, shall we jump into
Yes.
this? All right. So this is the Lembcke family massacre. So just with the title itself, you just know that this one is going to suck. And this is a listener suggestion from Amer. So thank you so much. So this case asks the question, what could drive a 16-year-old to murder their entire family? The teenager in this case is William Lembcke, and he had been previously described as a good kid, friendly, nice. Yes, he had a juvenile record, nothing serious. There were some angry arguments, but we're talking about a 16-year-old. They're becoming adults. Their hormones are out of control. So obviously teenagers, can be moody. So, this case just shocked so many people. And like I said, there were some angry arguments within the family over a period of time. Did I say that right? Period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But no one could have predicted that this could have happened. And the violence that he was capable of. And this happened over the Christmas holiday of the year 2000.
So he wasn't the type of kid to, kill small animals and stuff like that?
Not
Okay.
at all. Not at all. So the word familicide is defined as one family member who murders another member of their family, commonly taking the lives of all of the members.
It's kind of interesting because we recently talked about femicide too.
We did.
Too many
That's
asides.
violence against a
Women.
female by somebody that they are in a relationship with is femicide. So this is familicide. So oftentimes in these cases, like I said, it's them taking the lives of all of the members of their family. So in these horrifying cases, surviving family members are left stunned and confused, wondering if they missed something, if they could have done something to stop it. But in many cases, there are no outward signs. So you could be left racked with guilt, thinking, could I have done something different? But oftentimes the answer is no, because you would have had no way of knowing that that was lurking under the surface.
Yeah, if there were signs and stuff, that'd be nice to be able to stop it. But usually, I mean, it's just like anything else. Like, who's to say somebody can't just snap at any second?
Right. So in the cases, of familicide where studies are done, oftentimes there are no outward signs to suggest that anyone was in danger or that there was a risk that this person was capable of such violence. So in 95% of cases of familicide, perpetrators are male, and in many instances, they involve a father killing his wife and children and then himself. So within these cases, the man tends to be someone who was previously seen as a good person, a good provider, a good father, a good husband. So it's very confusing in a lot of these cases. In many cases, divorce or separation can be a catalyst, as well as financial issues. Substance abuse issues and or untreated or undiagnosed mental illness could also be a reason. So in cases involving now adolescents who kill family members, 84% of offenders were found to be male. 50% of the time, they did previously voice their desire to kill their family members, which is in contrast to cases that are involving adults, where in those adult cases, most of the time, nothing is ever said. So in cases that are carried out by young offenders, 75% were planned shooting attacks versus a spontaneous knee-jerk act of violence. 81% of these offenders confess to the homicide when they are questioned after the fact. So in many cases involving teen killers, prior to the murders, they were oftentimes not viewed as violent or aggressive toward others. And the catalyst often tends to be long-standing disagreement or friction with their parents or primary caregivers. So in the early morning hours of Saturday, December 30th, 2000, deputies Paul Murray and Dwayne Johnson responded to the Lembcke home, which sat on Marble Valley Basin Road in Addy, Washington. And this is a small community about 60 miles northwest of Spokane. So the reason why they were going to the house was because a welfare check was requested. The Lembcke family consisted of parents, 49-year-old Robert and 43-year-old Diana. The couple had 4 children together. This was 24-year-old Clinton, 18-year-old Jolene, 16-year-old William, and Wesley, who had only just turned 12 3 weeks earlier on December 9th. So the eldest child, Clinton, did not live within the family home. Again, he was 24 years old, so he had recently moved out and was living off on his own, but still within the area. So Diana Lembcke's brother, this is Andy Davenport, he had contacted the sheriff's office shortly before midnight on December 29th because he was concerned by the fact that he hadn't seen the Lembcke family in 5 days. And this is despite the fact that they actually shared a driveway together. So it was not normal that he would go a stretch of time like this without seeing some kind of activity or movement or signs of life within the Lembcke home.
I mean, he probably went over there and looked himself.
He did. He did. But the only family member that he had seen was William Lembcke. So Diana Lembcke, I'm sorry, I already read that. So as the officers arrived, William was attempting to leave the driveway in a pickup truck, but the officers parked in a way that basically blocked him in and prevented him from leaving the premises. So they noted that he had 3 other passengers in his truck. And, they're telling him why they're there, that your family member was concerned about your family's whereabouts. And William said that he did not know where they were, but he gave the officers permission. Sure, go on inside. You can take a look around yourselves. So when Deputy Murray asked if he could go into William's parents' bedroom, he said yes. And here they found Robert's wallet and Diana's purse, and both contained their IDs. In the meantime, Deputy Johnson noticed what appeared to be blood on both the hot water tank and the washing machine. So because of these suspicious findings, if say Robert and Diana were just going to go on a trip and take the other kids, leaving William behind, they would have taken their wallets and their IDs.
Yep.
So that didn't make sense. And now they're seeing signs of blood. So because of these suspicious findings, paired with the fact that the remaining members of the Lembcke family were missing, William was asked to sign a consent form and his Miranda rights were read. He did not ask for a lawyer and he allowed the officers to continue their search of the family home. So soon, Deputy Johnson noticed blood on a light fixture and what appeared to be fresh paint on the ceiling. So you could tell some sort of damage control and concealing had happened. So they also showed, like, with this fresh paint, you could see that the dark stains were starting to bleed back through. So even more alarming, there were bits of flesh found on a kitchen item. So as the officers confronted William with the evidence that they found, he began sobbing and shaking as he covered his face with his hands. And what did I say? 85% of cases, the adolescent perpetrators will confess.
Yeah.
So at this point, the deputies were went outside to speak with the passengers that were sitting inside William's truck. And as they did, they noticed blood in the bed of the truck as well. So at this point, the search was paused and 16-year-old William Lembcke was arrested at 4 a.m. and he was transported to the Stevens County Jail. So during this time in custody, William fully confessed to shooting 4 members of his family. This included his father, his mother, his older sister, and his younger brother. So within a written statement, he indicated that after they were dead, he transferred their bodies in the pickup truck. So this is why the officers saw blood in the bed of the pickup truck. And then he dumped the remains northwest of Addy off of Naff Road. So because William's older brother Clinton lived outside of the home, this essentially saved his life. Because had he been there, there's no doubt he would have been a victim himself.
Yeah.
So he was uninjured, alive and well. So when Clint spoke with his brother on December 29th, this is prior to the welfare check, but earlier in the day that they actually called in to have the welfare check done, William told him that his family had gone to see a sick family member in California. So obviously this is what William is saying to Clint as well as his uncle Andy. But, Clint is calling around and talking to other members of the family, and no one knows anything about a sick relative in California. So that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So Clint and their uncle Andy went to the Lembcke home where, just like investigators, they're coming across Robert's wallet as well as Diana's purse, among other items that suggested that no, they didn't go. And the biggest puzzling part of the picture was that their car was still there. So how did they go to California?
Yeah, not likely.
So obviously all of this is adding up to something weird is going on. There's something concerning happening. And this is when they decided to call police. And I have no doubt in my mind that when they were probably standing in the home talking to William, saying, "Where the heck is everyone?" he had to have been acting shifty. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah.
So 16-year-old William was previously registered as a student at Colville Senior High School. However, since he had been homeschooled during the previous year. His principal during elementary school recalled that William did sometimes get into trouble, but never showed the type of anger that you would expect to see in a case such as this. No one ever could have thought that William was capable of such a thing. Other staff within the school described him as quiet, non-disruptive. And his sister, 18-year-old Jolene, she was a senior at the high school. She was said to be a terrific kid who was very much well-liked by her classmates. So William's dad, Robert, he was an independent logger. He owned his own truck as well as a loader. And those that knew the Lembcke family said that they were always considered to be very, very nice people. Diana suffered from multiple sclerosis, and so with her condition, I believe she was wheelchair bound and she rarely left the house because of her condition. And oftentimes 18-year-old Jolene would step up to help the family because her mom, is suffering from multiple sclerosis and their dad is busy because he owns this logging company. So 18-year-old Jolene would often help with doing the household chores and things like that.
That's nice.
So on December 30th, this is the same day that the welfare check was done, investigators discovered the bodies of Robert, Diana, Jolene, and Wesley. They were covered in snow in a ditch on the side of Naff Road where William exactly told them that they could be found. Robert was wearing only a towel while Jolene was nude from the waist down.
Oh.
The autopsies discovered that William had utilized 2 different guns during the murders. So Diana Lembcke had been shot with both a .308 caliber rifle as well as a .22 caliber weapon, while the others had been shot with a .22 caliber weapon. The majority of the shots focused on the victims' heads. The autopsies determined that the shots were fired at a very close range. Sometime what they're really ultimately concluded to be, initially they said sometime between December 23rd and December 25th, which is Christmas Day. However, I will tell you that it's suspected that they all died on December 23rd, and that is what their headstones are printed at the cemetery. So in Robert and Wesley's cases, they suffered from contact wounds. So this meant that the gun had been placed directly against their heads.
Wow.
And this is like their son, their brother that did this.
Yeah.
It's just beyond to wrap your head around that he killed his family execution style.
Must have been while they were sleeping.
No, it's not.
Oh.
So Robert had been shot 3 times in the head and Wesley once. Diana was shot 3 times in the head with the use of both rifles. And
Like 3 times in the head. That's a lot.
Overkill. 4 times in the right arm, shoulder, and hands. And she was likely shot in the upper extremities as she was trying to hold her arms up to defend herself from her son.
Jeez.
Jolene was shot twice in the back of the head and once in the back. So, it obviously showed multiple times in the back, which, obviously she was attempting to run away when she was shot.
Sure.
And obviously a gun is a loud weapon. The members of the family that were shot last, it's like they just knew it was coming. It's just so sad to think about. So investigators noticed a large pile of firewood outside the door of the family's rural home. William, who stood at 6'1", he weighed 230 pounds. He indicated that it was an argument that began over that very wood that led him to kill his family.
Jeez.
So he said that his dad was mad at him because he wasn't helping him bring the firewood in, and his dad threatened to kick him out of the house and send him back to Martin Hall, which is a juvenile detention center near Spokane. So William said that when his dad went to take a shower, he loaded the guns. He told investigators that he was sick of his dad being mean. He was sick of being forced to work with his dad all the time and not being able to go anywhere. He complained that his sister was never home, which left him to frequently help with his mom's care and household chores. However, from the references that I looked through, that was not the case, that it was really Jolene that was the one that was stepping in to help.
So he was kind of looking at it from his selfish angle and
Right.
just being like, oh, I would never get any help and I always have to do this with dad. And it could, I don't know if there's any details about, was he actually work to the bone every single day, or was it just a standard kid stuff, helping with little things here and there?
It sounds like it was more just standard things.
Yeah.
So shortly after he armed himself, William said that he sat on his dad's bed while his dad was taking a shower. That gave him time to think about what he was going to do.
Yeah, a normal person would be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't kill my dad. This is going a little too far.
Yes. So when his dad came out of the bathroom after taking his shower, he shot him in the hallway. And then he moved on to shoot his mom in the kitchen. He said that his mother did not say a single word, likely too scared to speak. From there, he went into the living room where he shot his sister next, and we know based on the wounds that Jolene suffered, she was running away actively, followed by his younger brother as he was lying on the floor. Both Jolene and Wesley had unsuccessfully attempted to hide from their brother because, again, 2 people had been shot before William came to the living room to take care of them. So when he was asked why he shot his mom, his sister, and his brother, when it was his dad that he was mad at, he said that he didn't know, but then he later indicated that he shot them because they were there as witnesses. So he admitted what the deputies were already aware of as a result of searching the home, that after he disposed of their bodies 2 miles away from their home, he made an extensive effort to try to cover up the crimes. It's like, how did you think you were possibly going to get away with this?
Well, he's an idiot, obviously.
4 members of your family are gone. Their belongings are here. Their car is here. Where are you going to say 6 months down the road? Where are they?
There wasn't a whole lot of future thinking.
No,
there was a lot
none.
of just now. How can I cover this up? Okay, done.
So he's trying to, do damage control, and he painted the walls that had been splattered with blood and flesh. the cleanup would have been tremendous, as blood saturated the inside of the home, as well as the snow that was outside that led to the pickup truck, because obviously he would have had to drag the members of his family out to the truck. How he lifted his adult father's body into the truck, I have no idea.
Yeah, being that he's 6'1" and over 200 pounds, I imagine his
dad was probably a bigger guy, because I know I saw pictures of their brother Clint. He was a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he did that, but there was never any mention that anyone was there to help him. So the Lembcke home sat on a rural wooded property. This was a very tiny town. I believe in 2022 that Addie, Washington has somewhere around 30 residents.
Oh,
so
wow.
when I say rural, it's very rural. So it's a tiny unincorporated community of Addie, yet their house was still within shouting distance to several neighbors. But it's wintertime, it's December, and it's freezing cold. The ground is covered with snow. So it's not like anyone would have heard the gunshots unless they were standing closer or outside at the time. So this town where they lived sat among the rolling hills of northern Washington. So when his extended family members tried to contact Robert and Diana, William, like I said, indicated that they had gone to California to visit a sick uncle. However, in addition to the fact that there's no mention of some uncle, who the hell is sick in California? What are you talking about? Like I said, all of the family's vehicles were there at the property, as well as all their belongings. So as Clint Lembcke was given the unimaginable news of the murders of 4 members of his immediate family, his entire family was wiped out at the hands of his 16-year-old brother.
I must have felt so helpless. I'd be thinking, man, I wish I was there to help stop it somehow.
Right. So he indicated that the feelings and the trauma had yet to sink in. He said that he made it through the initial days following the murders only by preparing for the funerals. He basically was faced with a task, and he focused on doing that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Clint had worked for his dad's business in the previous 5 years and said that his father was his best friend. The support of his extended family provided him comfort as he tried to cope through his grief, and the reality had yet to sink in at that point in time. So despite the fact that William had no history of violence, he did have a police record, and 2 months earlier, he pleaded guilty to first-degree theft after he stole $25 in rolled coins, as well as a silver bar that was valued at about $166, and he stole these items from a neighbor's home. So at the time of the thefts, he did run away from home. He ended up being sentenced to 12 months of community supervision and 40 hours of community service at a local animal shelter that his neighbor, Joyce Tasker, operated. Joyce later described William as pleasant. He was somewhat quiet, and he did confide in feeling unwanted at home. So she recalled an incident that happened a couple of years earlier. William was extremely angry. She's not even sure what made him angry at that time, but she did say she saw him go outside with a hammer and basically just beat the hell out of a tree. So clearly he did have some anger inside of him.
Yeah.
So after William's arrest, he was charged as an adult and held without bail pending trial. In January of 2001, William pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of aggravated first-degree murder.
Not guilty.
Well, obviously, he confessed.
Right.
We know he did this.
He just doesn't want those charges.
His lawyer indicated that he would be using the insanity defense. So if found guilty, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. So because he was under 18 at the time of the murders, he was only 16, the death penalty was not an option because of that. So later that same year, in June of 2001, this is 6 months after the murders, it was revealed that it was not something as simple as him being annoyed that his dad wanted him to bring firewood into the house. And if you could recall how their bodies were found, does anything stand out to you?
His sister being nude from the waist down?
Yeah. Ugh. So it was not the firewood. The firewood had nothing to do with this horrific set of murders. It was nothing to do with chores. So the true motive was much darker, and he had been secretly recording his 18-year-old sister while she was taking a shower.
My God. So
on top of this disturbing revelation, this is so sick. William admitted to having sex with his sister's body after he shot her dead. So we're moving a couple of days before this horrific murders. So it was Thursday, December 21st, 2000, and Jolene told her boyfriend, this is Dylan Simpkins, and her parents. So not only just Dylan, but she also told her parents about this. But she had found a recording in the family's new video camera, and it depicted her taking a shower. So according to Dylan, Jolene showed her parents a video. So it was even more disturbing than her just being in the shower. But there was a second video that showed William masturbating while watching a duplicate of the first video.
Man alive. This kid was deep.
Very deep and dark. So according to Dylan, Jolene was rightly sickened and disturbed by what she found on the video camera. So she decided to stay the night at his house, to avoid being anywhere near her brother. So she went to work the next day. This would have been December 22nd, and she did go back home that evening. So William would have had the opportunity to murder his family anytime after that. But again, it's believed that it happened then the following day, which would have been December 23rd, after his father had actually confronted him about what Jolene found.
Okay.
So Dylan said that Jolene erased the video after she showed it to her parents, and he was unaware if there was a duplicate that even existed. So officers did find a camera as well as some videotapes because we know they went and searched the Lembcke home after all of this was discovered. But the court rules prohibited them from disclosing their contents. So we don't exactly know what was on the videotapes that the officers did find. They were unaware of that. They believed when William said he was mad at his dad about the chores.
Sure. I mean, you're like, okay, this kid obviously is not in the right frame of mind. It's like, that's kind of believable because you just killed your whole family.
Right. So Detective Lauren Erdman said that William likely had no idea that anyone outside the family knew about his sexually deviant recordings when he murdered his family. So when he was wiping out his entire family, he believed he was wiping away any evidence of what he had done.
What a psychopath.
Completely unaware of the fact that his sister had confided in her boyfriend.
Thank goodness she did.
Yes. So it was on January 2nd, 2001. We know that the officers were doing the welfare check on December 30th. It was on the 2nd when Dylan approached the detectives to tell them about this video that Jolene had come across. So detectives indicated that Wesley Lembcke, this is William's younger brother, he was basically the only member of the family that William would have had no reason to be upset with. It's like he basically resented his mother for her illness that she had no control over, and he likely viewed her as a burden because he had to step in and do more because she had multiple sclerosis.
I mean, why do we think that? Is there any reason to think
Just
that?
based on his hostility.
To me, it would seem more like I got to kill everybody that knows about this.
Right, and that is for sure. But the anger that may have been rooted in him.
Yeah,
he was,
maybe.
He's being confronted about this video because his sister told on him and his parents are confronting him. It's Wesley that would have had nothing to do with any of this.
Well, I mean, he probably, how old was Wesley?
He had just turned 12.
Okay, so that he wouldn't, like the father, when he has a talk, it would be the father, mother, and sister in the room. It wouldn't be the younger one.
They would have never let Wesley know.
Yeah.
So, incidentally, the autopsy showed that Wesley had died of a single gunshot wound to the head. The other 3 victims had been shot multiple times.
So it was like he probably had a little thought about it and like, I don't know. Ugh, gosh,
Yes.
Horrible.
So on August 26, 2001, jurors deliberated for less than 2 hours, and William was convicted of 4 counts of aggravated first-degree murder.
4 hours, like it'd be 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what there was to talk about, maybe the insanity defense or not.
Yeah.
So as the verdict was read, William's older brother Clint broke down in tears. During the trial, William showed little emotion, but it was during his sentencing that he openly sobbed as his aunt spoke about what a loving mother and hardworking father that he had, and that he had given it all up in one just horrible, horrible moment. So as Stevens County Superior Court Judge Larry Christensen handed down the sentence, he called William a monster, And he said, "Deep inside, son, you are a monster and you deserve the punishment that a monster should receive. The only penalties for aggravated murder are life in prison without parole." So that was just an automatic sentence. He will spend the rest of his life in prison, which he has been in since he's 16 years old. So again, had William been 18 or older at the time of the murders, he would have likely been sentenced to death.
I mean, they got to just kind of look at the cost of it all. And if it's cheaper to put him to death, they should, because he's a useless human being. He's not, I mean, he's so far gone that he can't be back in public. Like, he can't be.
No, and
fixed.
he never will be, but because he's under 18, it's not a possibility because of the laws.
Yeah, but I mean, as a taxpayer, I'd be like, oh, if it's going to cost $200,000 to keep him alive, let's just, I mean, it sounds kind of cold, but he wasn't very warm, so.
No, he wasn't. But regardless, that's just the laws. So Deputy Stevens County Prosecutor David Bruneau felt gratified by the verdict and criticized the defense's attempts to try and portray William as being mentally ill. He felt satisfied that the jury was able to see through this, while the defense team felt it a tragedy to send a juvenile into an adult prison system.
Well, I mean, he is mentally ill, obviously. Like, I don't know if there's like a particular thing. Yeah,
or is he just,
It wasn't he had insanity. He has it still. It just it wasn't temporary. Like, it's just who he is.
To me, he just did something sexually sick. He recorded his sister in the shower and then recorded himself pleasuring himself over these images. And then because he was caught, he wanted to wipe his whole family out.
Yeah, and that's probably happened to other people at some point, and they didn't end up killing their whole families.
Right.
So, like, to go that far, you got to be off the deep end, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what insanity is or isn't, but I mean, he's clearly not right.
Right. So during the trial, the defense team tried to seek a reduced charge of second-degree murder, arguing that at the time of the murders, William suffered from diminished mental capacity and he was a troubled teen from a dysfunctional family. So, there's this thought thrown out about this dysfunctional family. There's nothing in my research that suggested that they were a dysfunctional family.
Yeah, that'd be my next question. Where's the proof? And then
Yeah.
you've got Clint, who said his best friend was his dad.
Right.
So, I mean, it couldn't have been that bad unless Clint is also just like, that's all he knows and that's his father, so it's his best friend. But usually by the time you get that age, you start figuring it out like, oh, I was raised incorrectly, and then they wouldn't be your best friend, right?
Right, exactly. So with this, they tried to have William's confession thrown out, as well as much of the additional evidence that officers found after the teen authorized them to search the family home. The prosecution felt that the defense was only grasping for straws at this point in their attempts at the insanity defense because their backs were against the wall. The key defense witness was psychiatrist Dr. Alan Unis, who indicated that William did suffer from diminished mental capacity at the time of the killings and attributed his mental state to his traumatic childhood. Yet again, in every piece of research I did, there was no mention about what made his childhood traumatic.
Well, you had the person he worked for who said he felt like he was not wanted in his family. So that would be traumatic. Now, whether it was justified or not, doesn't really matter because he felt like he wasn't, right? So if I'm the defense, I'd probably lean on that, being like there was something there that made him feel like he wasn't part of it. Now, it's probably his own idiocy and loserness. I mean,
nobody wants me.
yeah, he's a friggin' loser lowlife. I mean, I know he's 16 or was, and it's like you're a loser, man. Like you're like you have the choice, like make something better of yourself or just be like, nobody loves me, man. And I know it's hard being a kid, and I know it's hard being 16. And if anybody out there's listening and you're feeling similarly, yeah, I'm sorry for that, but it's just like,
well, do something to change your circumstances.
Yeah, it's a good chance you live in a great country and you can make things better.
And the thing is that everyone around them said, they were great parents, loving parents.
Not everybody would say that if they're, I mean, sure, things happen behind closed doors, right?
Sure, of course.
Clearly this kid, he was super attracted to his sister and taping her like this kid.
That's sick.
It's on him.
So, however, Prosecutor Bruneau pointed out the fact that William had loaded the rifle and he sat on his dad's bed waiting while his father took a shower. And in that amount of time, he could have changed his mind and thought better of it. So this proved premeditation.
Well, same to his brother, too.
Right. And, he actually took the time to grab a second weapon during his mother's shooting. So his mom is confined to a wheelchair sitting in the kitchen, and he went off and grabbed another rifle.
That's low.
So prosecutor David Bruneau characterized William as selfish. He was a cold-blooded killer who partied with his friends in the days after he annihilated his entire family.
Were these the kids who were in the car with
Yeah.
him? Like, that's crazy.
But what they knew of it, he may have said, hey, my parents are in California. Let's have a party.
And being rural, you're like, what's this blood on the floor? I killed a deer or something.
Of course.
Maybe. Oh, gosh.
But who knows, though? I mean, obviously, the officers found the blood because they were there looking for murder.
Yeah.
We're talking about teenage kids here. You think they're looking around being like, oh, man, your floor is dirty.
No, they're looking for booze.
They're
and
looking for
chips.
beer or whatever. So the fact is that after he killed 4 members, his immediate family, he took their bodies and dumped them on the side of the road and covered them in snow, and still went on and had a party and he didn't feel bad at all. He was having a great time.
And did unspeakable things to his sister.
Yes. So basically, he showed no signs of remorse at any point until it was time for him to face his consequences. So Clint Lembcke sadly passed away at age 46 on November 26, 2022. I have no idea what his cause of death was, but that's very young.
Yeah.
And according to his obituary, he was born in Vancouver, Washington, until his family moved to Northport and then to Colville, which is the area where they were living by Addie. So he started working in the logging industry with his father, Robert, when he was as young as 14 years old. After his family's murder, he went on to marry. In 2009, he had a son himself. Clint carried on his dad's legacy when he became the sole owner and operator of Lembcke Trucking in 2000, which he ran until his father's murder. So he took it over after his dad died until 2021. The Lembcke family are all laid to rest together at Mountain View Cemetery. In 2003, William made an appeal. He was claiming that the court made an error by refusing to suppress the statements that he made to police, as well as the evidence they found in the home on December 30th, 2000, when they searched it. This appeal was filed and nothing came of it. And William Lembcke will be in prison for the rest of his life.
They're like, William Lembcke? Yeah, good luck. Okay.
Okay,
Next.
bye-bye.
Right.
So that is the sad and tragic story of the Lembcke family massacre.
That is absolutely horrific. And man, I can't imagine like that not being like national news, was it?
I've never ever heard of this case.
Crazy. I mean, that's horrible. So, well, a good thing William's away, and hopefully he'll never get out. And if people in Washington would like to change it to, get him out of this world, I think that'd be fantastic.
Well, and on Reddit, people are posting, hey, I went to school with this kid and this is what he did. And then they have like his yearbook photo in there.
Or
and it's
some of
like,
the stuff. I mean, and you got to take it with a grain of salt. It could be totally made
they
up.
didn't really say much about it. Just, I knew this kid and this is what he did.
Did they say he was troubled or anything?
No, not really. Nothing. I mean, everyone said he was just unassuming, quiet, non-disruptive.
You think that would you would think he would have gotten in some fights or something, like something. Like
And he
just
had
nothing.
friends. I mean, as the officers showed up to the house on December 30th, there were 4 people sitting in his pickup truck.
And I mean, it was all sexually motivated, like so many times.
Absolutely, that's
And a
what it
lot.
was.
It was just like so attracted to his sister. He wanted her so bad. Like, gross. So gross.
And my heart just breaks because
Sad.
this innocent family just was wiped out 2 days before Christmas by their child, by their brother. And what Jolene and Wesley must have thought while they were in the living room, hearing their father and mother get shot. Their brother took the time to go and grab a second weapon, finished the mom off in the kitchen, and then came after them in the living room as they tried to unsuccessfully get away. And it just breaks my heart. It really does.
Super sad. Well, thank you for telling their story.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can learn any lessons from this outside of be lucky that if you had a decent Christmas, that some other people had it much worse.
Because again, like I said, with statistically speaking, and in this case, there were no outward signs, because the disturbing things that William filmed on that video camera, nobody outside of the Lembcke parents and Dylan knew of it. So nobody would have known that William could have been capable of such a thing.
One thing I thought of while you were saying the story is maybe, you can talk to your kids, especially the teenagers. Like I remember teenage times being like crazy. I had bad thoughts, like just like not good thoughts about myself and stuff.
Like low self-esteem.
Yeah, very. And it's a tough time. You're switching your brain from a kid to an adult. And there's crazy things going on in your brain. And for him not to feel wanted, like it's made me think, should we talk to our son, just make sure he knows he's wanted, and
Yeah,
our
I mean,
daughter,
we're
too.
very expressive with our love.
100%. But like, you never know. It might not be enough because that person might be like trying to find any way that they're not wanted. Like clearly he was wanted. I don't know.
And it's William is the same age as our teenage son. It's just hard to even wrap your head around that.
That's what I was picturing, like that
yeah,
happening.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. So sorry, but thank you so much for listening. We appreciate all of you. If you could do us a favor, if you're not a Patreon or a subscriber, you can always go ahead to our YouTube, go give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment in there so the algorithm can be like, hey, people like this. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to serve it to more people. So just like that. That's actually what Google sounds
blah,
like.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah. I'm Google and YouTube. Let's give it to more people. So yeah, go ahead on over there. Give us a like, thumbs up, and comment in the Spotify comments. We're always getting tons of comments, and we always reply. Anytime I'm not working, I try to get in there. Allison doesn't comment on anything because she doesn't want to see any bad stuff. But there's not a whole lot of bad stuff. So
Yeah, and I'm just not a social media person.
You're
not. Yeah.
Yeah, if you message us on Instagram, it's always me. It's always me.
And you pass the messages along.
I do.
To me.
She'll see everything, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you got to say something to her.
So this is our last episode of 2024, at least for the regularly scheduled episode. So
Yeah, we went on Spotify Wrapped. Did you know Sydney, Australia is the #1 city that listens to us?
Really?
So like America, United States of America, we have the most listeners. But if there's like one city, Sydney, Australia.
we were just talking about Sydney, Australia as this episode before we started recording because it popped up on my computer like all these time zones. And I'm like, holy crap, Sydney's 16 hours ahead. Obviously, I knew you guys were way ahead if you're in Sydney listening. It was like 16 hours. I'm like, it's already tomorrow there.
Yeah, and they've got Wallaby Way over there.
Do you think one day we'll get to Australia?
No, if I had to be honest.
That's a bummer.
Well, do you?
I mean, I'd love to go.
I would also love to go.
I like to keep my options open, so I say we'll see.
I'm in no way saying we're not going there. No,
My name is Mike. No.
Here's Allison.
We will not go to Australia.
So she has these little things in her head. She might ask a question, but it's not like, "Hey, can you take the garbage out? Would you mind taking out the garbage or something
Isn't
like that?"
that nice?
It's no, because you want me to take the garbage out.
Yeah, take the damn garbage
So
out.
it's like, let's just cut the chase.
That's what's in my
Cut to
mind.
the
Take
chase.
the effing garbage out. Mike, would you mind taking the garbage out?
So the question here was, do you think we'll ever make it? Not do you want to go? But she's taking it as me answering, do you want to go to Australia?
I would like to go to Australia.
Oh, so would I. But we probably won't.
Why?
It's just because I don't see it in the things we want to do in life. It's not top priority. There's like Italy and London, and like we still got to go to those places. Hopefully someday. And
Hopefully
you
someday.
you mentioned an RV. We can't take an RV to Australia.
Why? We can maybe put like a little boat on the bottom of it.
All I have is stresses because Allison's like, oh, I'd like this, and I would like to this, and I would like to do this with our life when we retire here, and I would like to drive here and have a house here. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much money that she wants to.
It's good to have goals, isn't it?
So help us fund Allison's wants and needs by becoming
They
a
never
subscriber.
end, those wants and needs.
You can hear the stress in my voice. So good luck to me.
Oh,
Happy
you gotta
Merry
love
Christmas,
it.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
We love you all.
But we do love you all, and we are wishing you a happy and a healthy 2025.
Amen.
And thank you for joining us today. And until next time.